Cloud, and I'm going to share my screen and do my typical intro here. Well, thank you for joining us. This is a royal greeting to you and a Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr. We intend to rebroadcast this on the Revelation Network, TRN International News, and I'm ecstatic to have with us two princesses, both very, very dear to me. These are both my favorite people in the world and my favorite princesses in the world. So with that, Princess Tshepi, and also we have Princess Angelique Monet. Thank you both so much for joining me. And please consider this to be our homecoming and our gathering. As you know, we're approaching the latter part of this year. From an indigenous standpoint, I'm here in Los Angeles, which is actually the home of the Tongva people, the indigenous people. And Los Angeles is also very unique. Over half of the founders of Los Angeles were of indigenous and African descent. So this place that's known worldwide as the city of Los Angeles is also known as the town of the Queen of the Angels. So we are in a very unique place here. And I do consider both of you my angels. And I look so forward to us all having a chance to get ourselves together. As far as my commercial introduction, I do want to thank the Edfu Foundation. They're based in Oakland, California, and the name was actually founded from a town in Egypt called Edfu, and it has one of the largest or longest or best preserved temples of Horus in the world. And Horus, in the words of Sheldon Williams, the founder, is also the protector of children. So he actually launched the Edfu Foundation in 1999 when his daughter was born to give her an understanding that at one time, all people in the world actually came from that place that's now called Africa. However, it was previously called Nigritia before the Greeks and Ptolemy. And of course, we are now in a situation where everyone on earth is indigenous to Africa, and we're celebrating the International Decade for People of African Descent. I'm so ecstatic to be here with you because here in the United States, I'm in a place called South Central Los Angeles, not too far away from Leimert Park. It was there after the 1965 Watts riots that a group of cultural ambassadors came together, led by the US organization that included Malenga Karenga, and they founded what's now known as Kwanzaa. This is a celebration that's begun on the 26th of December and carries through to the 1st of January. However, in 2012, I had the opportunity to travel for the first time out of the United States to the country of Bermuda. And I found such peace and resonance there, only to learn that that's the closest landmass to what we call our Ma'afa, or our Middle Passage. So it is there, in fact, that our ancestors are, we have more ancestors, unfortunately, on the ocean floor than actually made the trip across the Atlantic. So it is in this spirit of a super jubilee that we're embracing the idea not of the last 400 years of what's called the African American heritage, because it was on August the 25th of 1619 when the first recorded arrivals from Africa, or the first arrivals from Africa were recorded, arriving at Point Comfort, now Fort Comfort, in the place called Hampton, Virginia. There were 20 and odd Negroes, as they say, and these, unfortunately, were Catholic Africans that were transported from the Kwanzaa River area of Angola. They were en route to Veracruz in Mexico, but English privateers raided the ship and brought the first 22 to, the first 20 and odd to Point Comfort. However, few people realize that there were 77 that actually were transported to Bermuda. And it was actually in Bermuda in 1616 where the first recorded Africans were. So we are, in effect, celebrating the linkage that we have throughout the entire world of our common ancestry. So I'm overjoyed to have been the one, along with my thought partner in Bermuda, Corn Smith, to devise what we call the Kwanzaa Accord. And the intent was to align the diaspora worldwide with the African Union's Agenda 2063. Again, it was in 1963 when the Organization for African Unity was founded, that was later changed its name to the African Union. As 2000 began, that 1,000 years was actually brought in by Mr. Kofi Annan, who was a chief in the Akan Kingdom of Ghana, but also he launched at the same time what's called the United Nations Global Compact. So I have the honor and pleasure to be uplifting his legacy as an Akan chieftain, but also on behalf of royals from Ghana, the Igbo people in Ghana, who have allowed me and endorsed my effort to raise up our people worldwide in celebration of this Akan legacy, but also in an effort to have royal, tribal, indigenous, as well as interfaith neighborhood and business collaboratives to leave no one behind. So with that, I want to thank both of you for joining me. And because you were here first, my daughter, Tshepi, please introduce yourself and tell us about the linkage to the cradle of humankind, if you would.
Thank you very much to you, Your Highness, Ambassador Andrew Williams, also our chairperson, and thank you for welcoming me. It's always a pleasure when we have these conversations. Yes, I am Princess Tshepi of the Royal Batlokwa in Southern Africa, and I am based in Johannesburg right now at the Cradle of Humankind. We have a place, the home of Homona Lady, which is where the Stekfontein, all of the continent, probably maybe even the world, and it was assembled, and now we have those caves where people come. It's called the Maruping. People do come and visit, the tourists, and I'm hoping that one of these days I will be welcoming you to be able to take you to Maruping and seeing these caves and seeing these the bones that have been found of the first human beings that have been found right here, which is quite a blessing. And while we have just said so, again, you have mentioned that Africa is, and even right from Egypt, this is where the cradle of humanity is, where civilization began. So we all are connected to Africa. We just differ in the degrees of melanin. I like how you put it. Exactly. Everybody has been birthed here in Africa. We just got dispersed as with perhaps economic demands or trying to make life. So it is quite a pleasure to be here with our Princess Monet. I have seen so much that you've been doing. So a little bit about myself. I come from South Africa, born and bred here, and in the province called KwaZulu-Natal, which is at Emutu, the town called Emutu. And I have now been here in Johannesburg through working and just, this is where the economic hub is. So once we complete our school, we come here in Johannesburg, which is where I'm based for economic reasons. However, I do have my organization Future Lift, which is the non-profit making organization where we are helping or assisting with the community upliftment projects. And the focus is on women and youth, particularly for rural and peri-urban, because we believe that is where the need is. And also being one of the cultural people of coming from that nation that believes and have a responsibility to uplift our own homes, our own cultural institutions, our own indigenous people, which is why we are taking this responsibility of bringing in, whether it's international and local, and every same-minded person, individual or organizations, to be able to integrate, really discriminating. And I like the theme that says without leaving anybody behind. I'm so glad that with that theme, that's how the relationship started with Ambassador Andrew when I was appointed the United Nations Global Goodwill Ambassador and 5-Point Youth Foundation in the US, which was quite very exciting. And now I form part of his team of the Global Goodwill Ambassadors Advisory Board. And with that as well, I sit on the advisory board of 2 organizations that are based in Nigeria here in the continent. With that as well, we have connected to our fellow brothers here that are also doing the humanitarian work in Kenya, Ghana, Zimbabwe, and Nigeria. Thereafter, I also am the vice president of the organization called AIDO, AIDO Network. It is an organization that is, it was founded by, the chairman is from East Africa in Uganda. It was founded by the clan in East Africa called the Ateker clan. So that is why we call it AIDO. So then we have now grown into more than 7 countries in Africa. We are still counting, and in 4 continents. The headquarters are in UK because these are the people in the diaspora. They wanted to plant back at home in Africa. So that's why then they formed the organization of all these network. We are driven, or we use the vehicle of culture and heritage to be able to integrate all the African kingdoms. We are driven through that vehicle. We use culture at really our forefront, at the core of our vision, and to be able to implement these objectives or to establish or accomplish our objectives. So with that, that is my continental network. The global network came through Ambassador Andrew. So I've got the societal, which is the Batlokwa, the Royal Batlokwa, my home, and Future Lift. And also I have Nalidia Tshepi, which is for profit making, which is the consultancy. And now we are also excited that we have appointed Ambassador Andrew as one of our coordinators and agencies that are going to be connecting us and linking us with the international businesses. So as well, we will be linking the international businesses through Nalidia Tshepi here in South Africa and actually into the continent as well, as I have already linked them to say that I serve with the Royal Batlokwa, and then through AIDO, we are able to serve, and we have the relationships with all other kingdoms. We work closely with the Swazi Kingdom, Eswatini, which is closer here in Southern Africa. We work very closely with the mighty Zulu Kingdom as well. And of course, the Basotho and the Batlokwa is my home. We have the Botswana that are not far as well. We have Amandebele. Then in South Africa, we have 9 provinces. In all these 9 provinces, we've got very different, diverse, and rich cultural groups. And really, my role is to, and also not even a role because it's not so much of an appointment, but this is the responsibility that being royal, it means you are a servant of just not your nation, but of nations. So because of this gift of connecting to the nations and of working with the nations, that's how I will always be bringing everybody home. And today we are with Princess Monique, and we are hoping that together with the work that we have already done globally, that this time around, we are also blessed that we will be receiving you and saying, are we able to partner and see what can be done for our communities, for our indigenous people? We don't only just segregate the indigenous people, it's just that they are our focus. However, being in the urban as well, I do work with all communities, particularly for women and youth, or even we can include children. That is really the focus. We, through the ambassadorial work, we are promoting, we are teaching, we are also holding ourselves accountable to, even with our government, the SDGs, all 17 of them, without taking one out, because we are the servants of the community. That is why my focus is on the 17th one of the cooperatives, cooperation, collaboration, working together. And that's what has also made me to say, anybody in the globe who has the same mind, who wants to see development, who wants to see peace in our civilization, who wants to see the spirit of brotherhood, who wants to see the concept, and not just as a concept. Here at home, Ubuntu is not a concept to us, it's our lifestyle. It is only now that we hear that it's a concept, it's what we live and breathe, it's what we have been brought up through. Our value systems are embedded in that. Our culture is our religion, is our spirituality. Our strength lies in that Ubuntu concept and the principles that are brought by Ubuntu. So that is why we welcome everyone that is of a missionary who has the responsibility to bring this generation into a generation that is going to leave a legacy of peace, of having taken care of each other, that is going to heal each other as well. With those words, I would like to say thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. And also the spirit of Ubuntu is worldwide. It is in fact the spirit of Ubuntu for everyone that has caused us every Friday to celebrate with our brothers and sisters in Bermuda and around the world. We call it Fridays for Future Forgiveness. You may know of Fridays for Future as an initiative launched by Greta Thunberg in 2018 for the youth to speak out about climate change and our responsibility to take care of our Mother Earth, as well as our own quality of life. However, what we've done is we've taken it to Ubuntu for everyone in a spirit of Fridays for Future Forgiveness. Because with the challenges that we're faced with in our world right now, unity, umoja in the Kwanzaa lexicon, is necessary for us to all, as first, forgive ourselves, and then forgive our brothers and our sisters for whatever has happened up to this point, because we all must work together with a commonality for our own survival and our growth as we move forward. So before I get to the Princess Angelique Monet, who has disappeared abruptly, I'll speak back to the fact that these Sustainable Development Goals are 17 that you mentioned. Number 17 is, in fact, Global Partnerships for Development. However, you must be aware that it was actually the Millennium Development Goals. They were launched not as a 15-year project from 2000 to 2015, but the first of 1,000-year effort for us to reconnect our human family. And so it was the continent of Africa that, as a complete region, had the greatest input into what we now know as the Sustainable Development Goals. It's called the Common African Position on the Post-Millennium Development Goals. That was launched, as I said, back in 2012. So we look forward to transitioning from Millennium Development Goal number 8, Global Partnerships, to Sustainable Development Goal number 17, which is, again, Global Partnerships for Development. And we look forward to not just talking about it, but actually doing something about it. Particularly now, we're on the cusp of the African Union's Agenda 2063 flagship project called the African Continental Free Trade Area. That's due to go into effect on January 1st of 2021. As I've said, that's only one of 12 flagship projects. However, what's less well known is that there are 5 what they call legacy projects for the diaspora. However, these were primarily developed for the diaspora from Africa, those people born in Africa who have traveled throughout the world. I am in what's called the 6th region of the African Union, with the first 5 being North, South, East, West, and Central on the continent of Africa. But the African Union has designated the 6th region as all people of African descent born outside the continent, regardless of their race, citizenship, or nationality. Now, obviously, in my purview, that includes everyone on Earth who decides to self-proclaim themselves as Africans and commit themselves to these same ideals. However, we are faced with major challenges. We are in, unfortunately, not the post-COVID-19 pandemic, but we are still in effect in one of the waves of the pandemic sweeping the world. So that brings us to the need to pay attention to other challenges that we're faced. Unfortunately, here in America, in the United States, and I'm told around the world, it is those people of African descent, even though we make up a smallest number of the people in the country, we make the highest percentage of people who are dying as a result of this underlying morbidities, as they call it. However, the same is true of our indigenous people here in the United States as well. And this brings us to the United Nations. Now, I do not agree with, accept, or condone all, many, or even most of the ideals that this organization upholds, but I do recognize it as the largest internet intergovernmental organization in the world that brings us the Declaration of Human Rights, which provided us with a foundation for us all to understand that no matter where we are in the world, we all have rights as human beings. It was in 2009, however, that it was President Obama that finally ratified the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So we're coming a bit late into the game, but we are in fact here. So I do look forward to taking this opportunity to move forward. Now, Princess Tshepi, because Princess Angelique Monet is not here with us, would you please take a moment and explain again a little bit about the work that needs to happen to preserve the cultural legacy of the people in South Africa and the work you've been doing to help us move forward in the world as we know it?
Right, thank you so much. I'm hoping that I caught you very well. I am to explain just about the work that we would like to do going forward.
Yes, and also the impact on the indigenous culture. You mentioned earlier before we began the recording that you're actually working very closely to make sure that you protect the intellectual property of the cultural heritage and also take advantage of perhaps the worldwide publicity that happened as a result of Black Panther and the thought about Wakanda and what this actually means on the ground in South Africa and throughout the African continent for our culture and heritage moving forward.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, tapping onto that one, the focus of the organization and the focus where I collaborate on is within the arts, the culture, and heritage. In these ones, this is what really where we are strong at, and these are the this is the sector that even defines most of our contribution. There are artifacts globally that have been taken from Africa, you know, scattered all over. And those we know that now the time has arrived where there are organizations that are working very hard to bringing them back home. I myself, we come from the lineage of the Queen Mantatisi, and we are still thinking that there are some other people that have photos somewhere. We can't really find the photos, and those that we are seeing, they don't define how we have been told by our forefathers how she looked. So those are the things that we would like to work, you know, towards. And then also within the arts, we believe that we can do the documentaries, because what is lacking in our culture, the rich as it is because there hasn't been anything that has been documented. So now we would like to document, whether it be, you know, our day-to-day, the cultural festivals, because we have the seasonal festivals. I know that the world may be embracing the Women's Month and all that. Even as diverse cultures as we are, it may not be known, but we do have our cultural festivals where we are celebrating who we are. Those we would like to document and let them be digitalized so that the world and even generations to come, they are able to reference accurately. Because most of the time you find that really the narrative is not how we know it, it's not how we have been told, and there is some distortion. That being said, it is okay. Then also, we would like these also to be forging forward the peace missions. As we have already said, that we have people in the diaspora that have really never known. Some people, it has come to our attention that there has been the education that is incorrect, that is not accurate, where to some people, perhaps in the West, it would be amazing that I can converse with you in this perfect English, and that I wear clothes, I don't walk around in skins or naked, that we are civilized people, and that civilization actually started here. It is just somebody, whoever that wanted to divide us, that put the wrong connotation towards each other so that we look at each other in a very lower manner. So with us here, we do know that we are people of confidence. And yes, it is what is being put upon us, but we reject such narrative. So with that being said, now that we have connected, we would like to see ourselves promoting the arts, the culture, and heritage and also preserving. Preservation, it will mean what we are doing, the recordings that we are doing, and now we are able to share. So through Wakanda, we already have been promoted and introduced because people did not know this blanket, and it is prevalent to us when we talk about being the pride of who we are. It is when we recognize each other. They have got names and they go with levels. The king, let's see, who is in Lesotho, wears a certain one, which is also for the highest order, and which is of royal. We call it Siana Morena. Morena is the king in our language. So then they have, that is why I was asking Monet, what is the label? We've got Sefate, they are all labeled in our language, and they've got connotations, and it's like your apparel, the suits that you wear, your Armani and all that. We also pride ourselves in this and the labels and how it ranks as well. So these are the things that Wakanda has introduced to the world, and now it's easier for me to even explain because we just reference on that one, and then we can move forward and be able to have documentaries, have films, have our own movies with being ourselves without being told that that is primitive. So we pride ourselves to say we are now saying we are here, we are confident, we are alive, and we are willing to be teaching the world about what is correct about us, and that at home you are princesses, at home you are princes, at home women are upheld. As you have heard, that we are to take care of the mother nature, the mother earth. The woman is the most important being in our culture. She is revered because she is the bringer of life. She is the co-creator with God. And also, as you can see, the shape of the womb is as round as it is. So we will have Professor, you have heard him, where he will be teaching us. Those are the things that we like when we talk about preservation, documenting, and preservation that will be shared, So with preservation, we are also having, I'm the interim CEO of the Queen Manta DC Institute. The Institute is going to have the two divisions within it. It's going to have the academic and it's going to have a museum, where now we are going to have our youth and even ourselves really teaching through our culture, having our authors. There is vast, Africa is rich with authors that are teaching about Afrocentric education, who we are, really the identity of who we are, writing it, and we want to learn about those. We want just the content, the material to be, the institute is going to be just as such, the Cultural Institute and Heritage, and all our arts, all our artifacts, and all our youth coming. And then through that as well, we want, even before that one, and more of them, they are now coming up, we want to have the exchange programs with the people in the diaspora where they can be coming. And then we know that even as early as next year through Naledi Tshepi, where the few of them, they can be coming over, and then they will be visiting the royal kingdom, the Eswatini, and we take them, and then perhaps in 2 weeks, they get to learn how we live, how we pray, how we worship in our cultural, the festivals, what are the seasons that we observe. What does it mean when we say thank you? What does it mean, our prayers? Because there are prayers, certain prayers that are said at a certain time. All those things is things that we live by, and we have never known that there are people that did not know. But you see, it's because of what the colonization had done. But now we are saying, let us come back together. So these tours as well, there will be mending the bridges. There will be reintroducing you to who you really are. And then you spoke about peace. We have been on many platforms on the peace missions and justice with even our lovely Dr. Tamara. And it came into my heart or my spirit. I speak a lot about the spirit because we are people that feel here, not quite here. We've been taught we feel here. We emanate from here. We make decisions from here. We move. The peace must be here before we can do anything in our stomach. So when they speak about the peace mission, you know, yearning to come back home, yearning to know your identity, yearning to not forever be told that you are lesser than who you are, how you were created, that you cannot have peace. That is part also of Ubuntu. One of the principles is just as that a human being with all the channels that we have been created with, they must all be aligned and be in straight line. That is why the uprightness, taking care of yourself, taking care of the environment. So in anything, even in our meditations, in our prayer, there is such. That is why we revere the trees, we revere the nature, we revere our mountains, we revere how we do things. So all of those is because we do know that we are living together in harmony. Harmony and peace, it is very, very important. We are people of peace. Even in when you look at how our kings, when they address us, you will see that the humility, you will see how they speak, you will see that even in arguments, we may not be raising voices. We are never taught to raise a voice against one another. So therefore, the violence that we are seeing, or the ills of the society, we do believe that with what we are doing now, reconnecting ourselves with our principles, with our cultural values, we will be able to eradicate such, to an extent that perhaps by the time we reach to 2063, Agenda 2063, you'll find that really a new civilization as we have envisaged has been created, reintroduced, because it's always been there. Because now we are saying this is who we really are, and all the origins. Professor Zuluma Thabo as well, you have seen him on one of our productions. He is showing us that mathematics in Sesotho, that mathematics originates from Africa, that the language originates from. So he shows us all the origins of everything that has been done, that it actually originated here. So we should have confidence in ourselves. These violences is because when somebody has fear, or is working from a place of fear, or reasoning from a place of fear. We have been taught also, one of the principles of Ubuntu is just that when I extend my hand, I'm already saying to you, my hands are clean, I don't have any weapon. So sometimes some people, they don't have the same interpretation of a handshake. That's how we know it. That's how you will see us always when we speak, because we are showing that there is no fear. So therefore, I come in the spirit of peace. Khozo. Remember, I was teaching as well to say, it is even the greeting, khozo, to say peace, because as I raise my hand, I'm showing my hand does not have any. You are my brother, so let's shake hands. You are touching me, so therefore, you know what? You are my brother. And those are the things that I would like us to see happening. The restoration of everybody, restoring even your confidence, to say you have an identity. You have an identity. You have a home. Home is important. Every human being started in the womb. That is all our first home. And who brought that? The woman. The woman. So it is when we restore that we can see, we can be able to overcome this gender-based violence, because we have never known of such. We lived together in our hearts as boys and girls in our homes. We grew up knowing our brothers, and also in our homes, we were never individualistic.
Right.
But we were communal. That is the principle that we see widespread. So meaning, in my home, I never grew up with just my mothers and my father, biological siblings. We had more than 4, more than 6 of us. And you will never even know that we don't belong to the same mother. Every adult is a mother, and every adult is a father. Every adult can send you to go do something. Every adult teaches us about the principles of how to live with harmony with everything else. Animals are revered.
Excellent. Well, thank you so very much for sharing it. I really do appreciate that. Princess Angelique Monet, I'm going to transfer to you, but first I'm just going to play just a very brief video, because the January is also has another event on the United Nations level dealing with the indigenous people, and the Edfu Foundation has one of our youngest participants to create this video. So this is only about a minute or so. Let me please share this with you, and then Princess Angelique Monet will please have your introduction. Thank you so much. Oops, just one moment here. Let me make the right adjustments to make sure you can hear it as well as see it. This is the daughter of one of our filmmakers and one of our board members with the Edfu Foundation.
Edfu Foundation Incorporated utilizes science and the teachings of our ancestors to improve humanity. We want to reunite and uplift our family throughout the planet. Our message, or theme for 2021 is Original People United. We work hand in hand with our sister organization, the Conservancy Corps, investing in the future of humanity through our programs and advocacy. We seek to move our civilization from its current state to that of a Type 1 civilization on the Carter-Jeff civilization scale, and beyond in a spiritually holistic way. We stand by the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Durban Declaration, and Program of Action, and support United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals and environment justice. Support Edfu Foundation by checking out our page and subscribing.
Well, thank you for your indulgence in that sharing. Princess Angelique Monet, please take this opportunity to introduce yourself and your work and ways that we might work together. So, now, Princess Angelique Monet, the floor is yours.
Yes, well, first of all, it's always a pleasure, Your Highness, triple Your Highness, to see you and Her Royal Highness. I'm so excited to meet you. I've heard a lot about you for a while now. I am American, as you can hear my accent, and I am blessed because I'm native to the Americas, and I'm also through the transatlantic slave trade African, and I'm also mixed heritage from Anglo-Saxon German descent. So I like to tell everyone I am a melting pot. And the beautiful thing is being raised, I learned a lot about oral tradition on both sides of the family. And that's when we learned that Native American and the different parts of Africa have similarities. Of course, my heritage is Northern African as well as West African when it concerns Africa. Now, my organization that I founded is a part of New Generation in Action, which has the consultative status with the UN. And our main program is the AFI World Peace Initiative. His Highness has been with me for a while as he's seen all the cultural and diversity that we've done throughout the years, not only at the United Nations, but in the Hamptons, which we have indigenous people there, which is the Shinnecock Nation. But we also have our prestigious events where we screen our films during the Cannes Film Festival. And I also promote the artisans, okay? Artisans are very important because artisans are about sustaining heritage and culture. And one of the things that is crucial, especially when I speak at the United Nations, is making sure that we have more trained artisans and that the works are actually paid the value, not underserved, so that the individuals are not able to do their craft. So using the arts, using culture, we are able to bring people together in a non-confrontational way. And this has been done mostly as a medium of film, art, fashion, because as we learned, fashion is an amazing component. Now, my background, being that I've been for a decade now a full-time humanitarian, my background is I made history as a modern-day ventriloquist at the emergence of the millennium, and I'm the only person to date to ever have done a play off-Broadway where I portrayed multiple characters as well as my ventriloquist figures. Now, one of the reasons why I'm mentioning ventriloquy is it's the oldest art form that goes back to Egypt, but it's also found in South Africa where you speak from the belly, and it's actually known as an indigenous craft. But of course, Europeans later on incorporated the puppets to make it into entertainment. So I ushered that in for the craft to be a little bit more popular. And then again, within the past 10 years, I've been working really hard because one of the things that I believe is that music and the arts can bring us all together, teach our culture, but we don't really have to sit down and talk. I'll give you an example of that. I used to be a member of a reggae band, and Uni, she was a Japanese amazing pianist, and she had a little daughter named Yuki that I bonded with. She didn't speak any English, but she was my best friend, and we would just communicate with hands. And we had the amazing relationship, the most amazing relationship. And it was the reggae music that brought us together. So working for the diaspora and bringing people to learn that when we speak of the word Black represents the diaspora. It represents the indigenous. For instance, the UN has an event with India that speaks of the Indians that have African heritage and are indigenous. So because I'm part of the indigenous, Indigenous peoples and working for the Indigenous peoples has been a major priority for me, because the Indigenous people are the gatekeepers for our world peace.
Yes.
They know how to sustain, as Her Royal Highness was saying,
Yes.
because you are an Indigenous royal, which is different than a tribal royal, okay? There are tribes, and then there's Indigenous people, as you know. So being an Indigenous royal, many of the heritage is women-based. Women are leaders, women are the elders, women are the spokesperson. You know how to survive with certain foods and waters, and this is very important as a custodian of the environment. So it's important that one of the things our organization has done and is doing, and myself personally, is we want, and we are ensuring that the languages are going to be kept, making sure that the children, if they have to be westernized and learn English, of course, they still have a sense of their own language so that they can teach their own children the language. The other thing that I really like what you said, Her Royal Highness, is I want to have, as we move forward, a World Peace Museum virtual. It's crucial because many of our artifacts are within other museums. So it's crucial that we have our artifacts. It's crucial that we have our heritage. And what's very important is Chadwick, the late Chadwick Boseman, is a late friend of mine, okay? And we understand about Wakanda. And we understand that South Africa is the cradle of it all. However, South African culture, Africa is a continent. It's not a town, you know. So each country itself has its own culture. So within that particular film, the king that actually his clothes were made was a Yoruba king, and this Yoruba king was a fashion designer. And I'm also from that particular royal house. However, I do have a bond to South Africa because I'm working as well with the indigenous kingdoms and the tribal kingdoms. And also for over a decade now, I've been working with His Royal Highness Prince Zulu Africa, and he runs the Festival for Peace. So we've been working together. So one of the things that in the end, I just want to say about the indigenous people is the heritage and the information and the way of life, believe it or not, whether you're in India, Australia, First Nation, or South Africa, it's the same information. That's how we know that we are all one and we are all the gatekeepers. As human beings with this COVID virus, we are emerging, we are adapting. So it's not about not adapting to the modern times. It's just don't forget your heritage, don't forget where you come from, because in the end, these are sustainable practices that will help us. Now, I'm at the moment in the Commonwealth, I'm in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, specifically at the moment in Kensington, working very hard with the communities here to make sure that the cultures are brought together. And with this COVID, back in the summer was the launch of the AM1 TV. We've been working hard for smartphone cinema for a while now. I've been lecturing and speaking at the United Nations, speaking with India, speaking with the top industry, as you know, particular to Africa, is South Africa. But the one that makes the most movies is Nollywood. So that the industry can be sustainable, smartphone cinema is a platform that I've been testing out as a model. And I'm the first person to bring it to Cannes with a series of films to debut them. And this year, the Oscar Student Committee thanked me and Professor Carl Bedos for our efforts, because this COVID has taught the world that citizen journalism through the smartphone, okay, I'm on my smartphone right now talking to you. My computer failed, okay, so I'm taking to my smartphone. And smartphone cinema is the way, because all you need is a smartphone, and you can even edit on your phone. And so when we're talking about the rural communities and being able to share the stories and the information, we are creating an academy as well, where we can train individuals. So it's not just let me make a smartphone or let me just make a video and throw it. It's going to be a professional industry that's going to be coming out of this, where we have professional films and projects and series. So there's many things that you said. I don't really need to go on and on about myself, because everything that you approached as far as what you're doing, I've been working with different indigenous people and tribes and also individuals, because what happens is that the mainstream industry needs to learn the information. So using a festival, using the Cannes Film Festival, Hamptons, United Nations, and prestigious marketplaces, that is the way to bring the Western society to understand the culture. And we see that this is working. This is a platform that's working for girls, working for youth, also space missions. These are all the things that are being done as we speak. And as an elder now, an elder for the Native Americans and the indigenous people, as you know, doesn't have anything to do with age. It has everything to do with how you studied and how you display yourself. So what I was sharing with you was this particular blanket that I can actually wear. I'm in my royal gear today. My royal name is Ademi Basi, which means my crowns have increased, because they surely have. As a European princess and an African princess and a dame of many Vatican orders, I could say that this is great, but Angel is also serving the humanity. So I wanted to show you this particular blanket, which is similar to yours. It is for me because I'm a turtle. So according to my clan, I'm coming from a turtle. So there's a turtle, pardon me, there's a turtle on it that you can see. And this was actually made, okay, handmade, in recognition of the Seneca, Mohawk, and the different tribes. The turtle design inspired by the legend that the world was created on the shell of the turtle. Now, I'll tell you something that happened. This blanket is also my blanket because I'm coming from the Turtle clan, and I'm also from the Wolf clan. And a lot of people don't know, but when you study Europe and you get back to the old Britain and everything, that is also very African, they're clans, as you know. There are many clans. But with this particular blanket, the turtle is very slow, but very wise, okay? And what's really sad about what's going on in the communities is many of the department stores have the blanket. So I facilitated a wedding because one of the things that I'm working to do is, we know about the Western wedding, but there's many people who are part Native and African descent. And again, most African Americans and Caribbeans are, as you know, are from the Yoruba or from the Igbo heritage. So we have that as well. So the lady saw her blanket, and it was a lot of money, the blanket, okay? But it's a wedding blanket too. So you can get one individually, but when you get wedding, you wrap the couple into the blanket, and that's part of the ceremony with the hands.
Yes.
Similar to you.
That's what we do. Yes, this one is big as well. Yes.
Yes, and so what happened,
this is
yes, it's
exciting.
very heritage. And so what she saw the blanket at a very expensive store, and it was $325 only. So this was the time that I had to tell her, listen, a weaver took, months to just make this one blanket. And now many countries are copying the blankets, copying the indigenous jewelry, copying everything, and making it quick, selling for $5 or for less work. But someone that's indigenous took the time to do the blanket. So this is one of the concerns that we have, especially in the Americas, near the reservations, where you might have replica jewelry that's turquoise, but then what happens is that same jewelry was made in China or somewhere else, and then it devalues the fact that most indigenous people, this is what is the job and the career and the maintenance of a lifestyle. So once we start exploiting that, which is also going on in India, because the weavers and many, it's made in India, but the weavers are being left behind. Once we don't have a new generation of individuals that can be custodians of this heritage, then we don't have anything. So this is a movement that we're also working really hard to maintain. And so the blankets share and show that we're all one as well.
Yes.
So in conclusion, one of the things that is needed more than ever is a lot of the information. We have to be entertaining, okay?
Yes.
We can go on
Yes.
I can't have a 10-year-old that's going to look at us and want to hear what we're talking about. They're going to be bored. And a 50. So what would happen is we would come together and figure a way out, okay, because we're in COVID. So you're able to shoot or do certain things. We would have a system of editing. We would have a system that would show the individuals within your indigenous tribe how to shoot. And then we would come up with a series of entertaining short formatted programs to shoot. Now, one of my projects is about indigenous royals, and indigenous royals are also in Europe, antiquity royals. That's how I have my title, coming from medieval times. So, and these times were times where, again, the information wasn't modern. So my goal, what's called royals, the empires are increasing by partnerships. With royalty comes great responsibility. It's not about just the title, it's about making sure that you can feed the next generations and make sure that you're sustainable. So what I do see is you participating in a series of these projects that will go on to be released on the major marketplace. And we can quickly share the stories that way with the youth and get the stories told. But the key, again, in conclusion, is quality of the production. So it's not just shooting, it's we have a 3-day accelerated course, and then we're also working on the school so that we can make sure that everyone's going to have, now smartphone cinema is professional. We've had some with Professor Calvados that have won some Oscars. So now taking it to the next level is we're serious. The Oscars say that there might even be a category if I continue this work. So I hope that you're ready to sign up, because you know so much information. And again, what I like about your royal heritage is the women empowerment, and that, you're the king, but the way that you're shining and talking about the heritage, the men see you as an equal. And so that's, as you know, in Africa, different countries, that's not as popular. So this is why your culture and heritage, and what we saw in that part of the Wakanda as well, that was the part of Wakanda where you saw women empowered, whereas certain parts of Africa, women were empowered to get back to those days. And that's not just Africa, that's around the world.
Yes. My word. I like now my jewelry. This is our jewelry, which is made by the women at Engutu. We work on this. This was handmade, and I like what you say. So the reason I'm ululating, that's how we always say thank you. That's how we show excitement. I like because you said, let us be entertaining. I'm very funny, but then before you came, I told Dada, I said I must now, chin up. You are coming, I must behave. So I loved it when you gave me freedom. You gave me to say, be who you are. We entertain, we are funny, and the costume that you saw, the regalia, we were actually being goofy. I didn't mean to make a serious picture. Actually, we were being goofy because I'm always like that. We were doing the digital exhibition for all that work of the indigenous people, of the rural women. They make this beadwork, they make those things, they make isitwaba. And that regalia is not worn by women. Because I was being funny, we were trying to model them, that we were taking them, and I said to people, let's see how will I look, only to find that that is the photo that has taken the world by storm. And now I always have to be apologetic to the Zulu kingdom to say, no, but it was for the art. And also we were showing social cohesion, because I'm from a different clan, but because with it. So I love all what you have said. And also I would like to say thank you for the work that you are doing. Thank you for representing our women. Thank you for taking responsibility for our generation. And thank you for creating the reason that this generation and the coming 1,001 are going to be celebrating you. I like how you have been a trailblazer. You have been a pioneer. And indeed, we are one because the spirit of the warrior is in you. The spirit of fearlessness is in you. You would have seen those warriors of West Africa, only women, that they would nurse a child, but then when they took up the spear, even the colonizers, the Portuguese, they did not have any day. And that's exactly what I'm sensing, that you keep on pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope, and really saying, world, I am here. World, I am here, and you are going to listen to me. You are going to create a category. So therefore, that's what we talk about, that the world has to we have to celebrate that there came on earth Monique, and there was never such a woman ever, that in 1,000 years we will be seeing, we'll be reading, we'll be learning, and you will be celebrated. Because now you really have now become even the pioneer into, did we say it was the Oscars that are going to be creating the category that started by you?
Right, let me be specific. So basically at our awards presentation during the summer, the Oscars committee sent regards. And because of the fact that we're in the pandemic and unfortunately Hollywood studios and TV shows took to smartphones in order to do the productions because of the lockdown, then they see that this industry is sustainable. Then what happened is this summer, UNESCO Center for Peace, I founded a festival for the children that could not go to the program. So we had over 500 students and a smartphone training course for 3 days. These are diplomats, children who are being trained to be diplomats in the future. So they get to be a diplomat in this program. So they learn smartphone cinema in 3 days from Professor Carl Badosh, who's the father of smartphone cinema and teaches the class at NYU. He's my business partner as well. And then we had a competition in 72 hours afterwards where they had to make a smartphone film. Youth were from India, from West Africa. We didn't have any from South Africa, China, and America. And then we had an awards presentation. And interesting enough, the films were just as good as some of the smartphone films. And they were what was beautiful is that these were the youth. So, and seeing, so what's happening is I've done test models, okay, since 2016. And now the test models are ready to go to the next phase. As far as being a trailblazer, I didn't talk till the age of 5, and the arts really helped me. I had a learning disability. I was bullied. And ventriloquism is how I found my voice to get back at the bullies. I asked my mother what scared her, and I did my research of the history of ventriloquism coming from Egypt, and that the real ventriloquists still alive are the Zulu. Some of the Zulu priests still do this ventriloquy talking, and the indigenous tribes. Some of the Native American in Alaska. I had a performer in 2019, and she practices the art. So, like, again, I've taken the form that way, but also some of the other work I've done in the entertainment. I'm laughing because when I became a living legend for the historical Black colleges and universities, I just didn't believe that it was real. I thought it was a joke, because it's, first of all, going to the HBCUs is a prestigious thing, and they're very picky as far as giving out awards. So I did go, and that's when after I received the award, that's when I realized that the Angelique that achieved all of this, okay, I've interviewed celebrities from Morgan Freeman to working on independent productions. I'm the first woman to have an OTT TV platform back in 2010 on Dish, which is a major network. And now I'm the most famous Angelique and top famous Monet, like the painter. So when I look at these things, I'm just like, whoa, I have to just become Angel Ademi Basi, which means like an angel, my crown's increase. And I don't pay attention to these things, because who you are yesterday isn't who you're going to be today. And who you are today isn't going to be who you are tomorrow if you don't remain humble and you let it go to your head and you're like, well, I did this. Because I'm going to tell you who's inspiring me now. I have a 10-year-old DJ Zell over here in the UK, and she's the youngest DJ on the radio. And she did a video that His Highness saw and he liked it, where she said she's enough. I don't say, okay, I did affirmations when I was 10 to get over the issues, But that is something that women don't think about a lot. You know, we go all out and we try to serve everyone. This is just our nature. We try to please everyone. But this little girl was proud to be Black, proud. She did her affirmations in 20 seconds, and then she says, and I'm enough. That motivated me. So I'm actually motivated by the youth. Those are my biggest inspirations, and they're checking on me. So 2021, I have to get back in the industry. I'll be producing commercial content. We'll be creating as well. Maybe we can do a smartphone drama around because we have to entertain people. Documentaries are cute, but we can maybe right, do a TV series. And I'm looking forward to it because every day I get a message from these youth. I really like your work, and I really think that it's nice what you're doing for the world, but we need you again to come back out. So with that being, and His Highness is also mentioning animation, and we're also into VR. So all of these things have to be done because the UN is boring. We're closed now. It's projected that in New York, because I used to live there, basically, we're not opening until a while. And so now the Zooms are allowing our organizations and partnerships. We're able to do a lot more, even though we're in this COVID. And the UN, I'm gonna tell you what happens at the end of the tour. Okay, so Eleanor Roosevelt is the first, so you know that she's one of the founding members as far as the first lady of the world is what we call her. And the UN started because she liked to quilt blankets. And she was quilting blankets with international women and their husbands. And then as a result, it created peace. So then that's how it was formed. And I participated in the Women's Guild at the United Nations and performed for them on the grounds. And a lot of people don't know about Eleanor Roosevelt and her role with the United Nations. So when a lot of people want to use the UN word, and a lot of the UN is proud of 75 years, proud of the Sustainable Development Goals, proud of everything, and you don't have to be with the UN, with ECOSOC to use it. I try to take everyone on the tour to actually go to the UN, and I get the tour guide to take my group and people interested on the tour. When you see how much money that is spent on the wars daily, and you see how many wars, and you see all that's going on, when you get to the very end of the United Nations, where you have the rooms with countries that are not countries, like I'm a member of the Order of Malta, and we are not a country, but we're part of the United Nations like a country. So when you actually go to the UN and you see some of the groups like that, this is what she says at the end of the tour. Thank you very much for the tour. I'm glad that you like the UN, but I just want to tell you that if we don't work with the indigenous people and you don't go out here and try to share the information and do better, we're done as a human race within the next 10 to 15 years. And I just want to let you know that the UN was just created to be a mediator. We're not a savior. The government is not going to save you. Politics is not going to save you. The only thing that's going to save you is you become a better human being. So if you don't do that, then pretty much we're all going to die. My guests were like, oh, and they didn't understand it, but they were horrified, and they said it was the worst day of their life. All the people who wanted to flaunt the UN pictures, as His Highness knows, and they want to say to UN, they cried. Many of them cried, and they cried because it's true. Politics, religion, United Nations, all of this is a beautiful tool for individuals, okay? We have a book and we have a guideline, but in the end, it is the gatekeepers of the ancient languages that we can't lose. It is the spiritual gifts that people have that's going to bring us together as one. And we have to unite on a bigger scale than what we have. And that's what COVID is also teaching us, is this has given us time to even though I've lost many people before COVID and after COVID, even within the past few weeks, I've reached a point where when you're a leader, you can I sometimes can't even post it on my page. I'm putting it in my private group and sending condolences. But unfortunately, if with the amount of people that I've lost in COVID and before, I've learned that life is not guaranteed, and your intentions have to be done. You might have good intentions and you talk about it, but you have to be about what you're saying. And now, because we have the Zooms, and we're able to record this amazing meeting today, this intention is set. You and I can take a picture. I would love to take a picture of the three of us. We're going to post it. We can do a memorandum of understanding so that we have everything in place of what we're going to do. And I'm ready to put this in motion because I got some really good news from Hollywood in regards to, even if theaters are not open, I'm going to have films that are going to be qualifying from the Oscars. I'm working very hard in the United Kingdom to help with the BAM and BIPOC community to ensure that in America, we have an amazing system because we believe that you can become anything you set your mind to.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's
yes.
that we need here for the BAM community to, and also more inclusion, so that, like, for instance, here in October for Black History Month, there's a rich history coming from Italy. There's a rich history of Black Africans that or Blacks that come from Italy that made England. And it's at the British Museum. You understand? It's a lot of history that needs to be told. I'm mixed race heritage, but over here they don't have the one drop rule. So many of the children are now Anglo-Saxon heritage, but most of the Black History Month is spent with the Caribbeans in one place and the Africans, because Africa is a continent. So each country have its own group. So we're working hard. We did an event. I participated with Aon the First, where he brought all of the different countries in Africa together for a night that was last week. So these are the things that need to happen here, specifically in the UK. America, we're a pioneer with many things. And it's important that pioneer spread also around the world. So we got a lot of work to do.
And it's all going to be fun because it needs to be done. And it's so fulfilling to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, it is fulfilling. It is. And what's beautiful is you're putting a lot of us together, Your Royal Highness. You're doing an amazing job at that.
Well, actually, you know, it's a cause. It's more than a job, but also it does create intellectual property value as we do it. So that's part two of the lesson for our children and our youth, for them to be able to utilize their tools now, not to be just consumers, but producers. So that's why I'm so enthused about the work that you're doing. And I do look forward to committing the Edfu Foundation as well as the ADA Animation. They're in Kenya. They're basically, all of these are Africans, and what they're doing is cutting edge. They've recruited animators throughout the country of Kenya, and because they're so far advanced for the mobile technologies, that it allows them to be trailblazers. So I'm hoping that Princess Angelique and Princess Tshepi, we can actually get them involved with helping to produce our infomercials, our public service announcements, our fillers, because so much of the world right now, as you may know, is controlled by the 5 corporations that own or control 95% of the world's media. It's only through our own efforts that we can have a chance for our children to have their own narrative. So that's what I'm committed myself to do. And I look forward to working with you both to get that done.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Princess Johannes, Princess Monique, I have a very nice question to ask. When are you coming to South Africa?
Well, I was speaking to His Royal Highness, Prince Africa of Zulu. We spent part of Christmas together. And I'm in the United Kingdom. So as you know, we have a here, and then unfortunately you have a new strand in South Africa. So we have to just take a break for a moment again. And then as well as business, you know, so I'm working on a series of projects as well with him. And I'm excited because every day that I go for my walk, I pass the home in Kensington where his ancestor was living for 1 year in exile, and they have put a memorial plaque in honor of him. So this is the plan. You know, unfortunately, we have to just do, one of the things I'm encouraging specific for our partnerships is let's do as much as we can via the Zooms, via the videos, via the smartphones, which I can put together a meeting where we're going to do some training and produce as much content as we can, because the world understands we're in lockdown. So that the quality and what we're able to do is going to get a pass. So we have some time to do that. I'm projecting maybe the last quarter of next year, it'll be a lot easier to have your festival again when you put all the different tribes together. And I pray that you can do something sooner, even if it's smaller, but you can do your mission. And I pray for the children and all of your indigenous people in this time.
Yes, our people. So
Thank you.
So I yes, indeed. I like exactly what you have said. What is the touching point? We all have stories, and we all, my goodness, there's just more that even just brings us together to say we are the same people. We are children of the family. When you say you have turned your trauma, transcended into bringing out the value and the purpose that brought you to be on this earth. We all have such stories. One point we will be sitting there as girls in our pajamas and we'll be telling such stories where we have turned, because we all have such. And that's what has every person who has gone through the trauma, actually, it brings out their purpose. It accelerates that revelation, because yes, everybody finds out, but some people are in the comfort zone, and then sometimes they don't even tap into it. But all our traumas, all the gifted people, and then when they ascend to accepting the call, it is actually by turning that, as you say, forgiving ourselves and turning that trauma and turning it into the value and defining who you really are and revealing the crown that was already waiting for you, that was created for you. So I was very touched, and I love that. And of course, I love going deeper into things. And really thank you once again for the work that you are doing. You and that they are amazing, amazing. I have learned in just few months, really to say, most of the time I feel I have not done enough. I've not touched even the surface. But, and also talking to you today, I never thought it was going to happen so soon. I've been following you, and I thought, ooh, I'm intimidated. This person is very busy. This person is way higher, and she's not going to entertain even talking to us. However, I already had sent a letter to God to say, if Princess Monique can just give us just 10 minutes of saying, how can we work together? This is what I want. This is what I want. So,
well, now you have your Christmas present.
Thank you. I'll tell you that His Highness knows. So I love Jesus, okay, and I study the ancient masters, as they call it, in other religions. And one thing is that you're saying that you're higher than. So in my neighborhood, I'm Angel. So I've walked the streets of Brooklyn, the Bronx, the inner cities of London. I've been to royal palaces. I've been, coming from a great background, but every single person is important. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, I have lives, so Angel, she's just Angel. How can I help? What you need? What's up with this piece of candy? Angel's just a cool girl. They don't have a lot of people in Kensington where I'm at, they take good care of me. I go to the market. Hey, Angel, how you doing? They don't know anything about Her Royal Highness Princess Angelique Monet. And so I like to have that balance. And then when people might find out your achievements, but I'll be honest, you could be an achiever today, but tomorrow. And one thing I don't believe in is being privileged. I don't believe in a spoon being fed to you because you have a title or because you come from a family. You need to work to earn your keep, to stay here on earth. And just because you come from royalty doesn't give you any privilege better than a person who has a quality. It's just, if you have the royalty, it's nice if you can have a trade, number one, not just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
wave at people. So are you,
Yeah.
to be, are you giving back, not just giving back because you have to do it because you're on salary. So I believe that it's important to just be a human being. And then if you happen to build the titles from there, that's why my crowns have increased and I'm blessed. But I like that I'm gonna get prepared to go to the market. And they're like, hey, how you been? And they give me security, just like, and they don't know who I am, but they treat me just like a royal, but I'm angel. So
Yeah.
so the key, I'm very down to earth, a lot more than a lot would believe. And that's what keeps me grounded as well. His Highness knows. He's talking to Angel when we're talking.
Lovely, lovely. That's how, right. Also, maybe to mention, we work very closely with Princess Sinetemba of the daughter to Isilo. Isilo is when we say the king from the mighty Zulu kingdom, our his Majesty King Zwelithini Gapegu Zulu. We were on the production with His Highness, with Princess. When we are here in Johannesburg, it is only when there is a ceremony. You'll never see us. We are ordinary. We all have organizations that we are all working. And then it's only when there's a ceremony that we now have to chin up and be on the scene. But other than that, we all have responsibilities and we all can support each other only because we know. But we are allowed to live our ordinary life, but responsibility is what is told all the time. We are very hardworking people that, as you can see, that anything, even whether it's Christmas or not, Ambassador knows we are forever working to bring home, because we were told that there's no allowance for being sick. There's no allowance for being lazy. As much as that was harsh, at some point I actually ran away from my family. I didn't want anything because the grooming and the upbringing was just too hard. And I thought, this is too much. But it's lovely, and the responsibility, the humanitarian work is what we live for, and it's not even where it's a job. It's really our lifestyle. So we've got also Prince from Eswatini, who's also very much working on the what we call the SDG 13 on the climate change, and he is also on the Chamber of Commerce. So all of us, we do. And then also, yes, we work with the rural women where they are creating their craft, and we are also advocating for them to be remunerated correctly and recognized for the work that we've done. I love what you mentioned about the weaving and the work that they are doing, and all their artifacts and all these. And that's exactly what we do. We are really advocating for them to see the recognition that is due to them. And I would also like to see the work that we are going to be doing. The creator of that regalia, because it's all everything. It's an old man who is even gone deaf. I've always wanted to do that photo so that it can be signed and be presented to him in his honor.
That originally, when His Highness sent your picture, it's beautiful. Now, one thing that I'll say as a history lesson is being in the different orders that are with the Vatican and everything, and also with the medieval title coming from Europe. One of the differences between being a European princess versus an African princess is within Europe, the royal circle are very reserved. And what that means is high security, it's Christmas, make appointments, come early. The difference between African royalty is the kingdoms, no matter if it's West Africa, no matter if it's South Africa, okay, the kingdoms are always available for the people.
Yes.
The kings, and the princes are always available for the people. And it's just part of their life. So that's one of the things that separates, and I'll be speaking more about that. That's one of the things that, separates and that's my African DNA, that separates that. So oftentimes you wouldn't see necessarily a European princess with the same attitude of an African princess. It's not that the work isn't being done. It's just that, it's more formal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
As a people with our African DNA, we're just like, come one, come all. The queen gonna she's gonna feed you. If you knock on that door, it doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. I have to take care of my people. My home is always available to you. And so that's also that's a culture that won't change per se. You know, it's just why, and that's why our royal culture does need to be exposed. You're walking around the way that you are humbly, but a while back, you know, imagine before colonization, there's a strict protocol and a pride that has to be. Now royalty, they're trying to make more down to earth, but what is down to earth about our culture? Just because well, I'm a Western princess, but just because things are becoming more down to earth, I'm still going to wear my gloves and I'm still going to wear my African culture as well. We don't necessarily, we can be down to earth as far as loving humankind, but we don't have to be down to earth with hiding our culture anymore.
Yes, timidity. So what I also had to, I like how you are connecting. Ntate Andrew, I call him Ntate, you know, Ntate's father. And I used to call him as soon as the idea comes, because to me, exactly that, I'm available, I work, I serve. And also whenever somebody knocks, we must find how we cook, how we do. It's no making appointment. When I ship out, I go and, hey, Princess Monique is around. Can we meet him and oh yeah, okay, just do whatever you do, and we never know. So I used to call him, and then he would say, you know that it's 4 a.m. here. Oh, okay. But then as well, I'm continuing with what I want to say. And I think also Makubu, they rebuked me. And then I've had to learn as well the different, what do you call them? That way of the lifestyles. And with us, we are open like that. We are, whenever I'm with the children, we are all over. We don't do well with security. We tried when we were having the World Peace Summit with Queen Sheba. I was forever being restrained. I dish out for people. I don't sit at the table. I dish out for everybody to make sure that they've eaten, because we've been taught that we last.
That's what we have in common. You come to my home, I'm going to serve you.
Yeah. Yes. We also, when there's a gathering, we are the ones that actually eat last. Unlike if we are pastors, we eat first, we get taken to the high table. But then when we are all together, make sure that everybody, we are the ones that are serving, having to make sure that everyone and everybody's comfortable. And even our homes, if food is smaller, you will never know. As a guest, we sacrifice for you, and we make it as if it's just the norm that we are gonna have. We have already eaten. When you eat, we say we have already eaten. Then we'll be drinking our water, but we are all having fun and smiles. Never grumpy or never saying, why didn't you tell us?
Very nice. I'm very excited. People tease me. I have many Southern African friends, and when they come to my home and they see how I do, but it's fancy on a dining room table, they're like, you're like modern day Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth meets an African mother. I'm like, really? I'm like, that's the best compliment you can give. And then I'll do, you know, because the women, what's funny is in certain cultures in Southern Africa, the women curtsy when they give the men the food, I was told. So then, you know, my friends.
That we kneel, the kneeling. Yes. And even greeting. When we greet, we don't stand upright. So the one knee has to be bended whenever you'll see when we meet Ambassador, when we, even to you, you'll see that when you come here, we'll be greeting you like that. Then one knee has to always bend. Most of the, I don't know, protocol that is done in the UK, it's actually been taken from here. Remember, they were the first ones to eat us. Most of it, the heads that they wear, you'll see that's our afro, and then having some feathers and things. That's actually most of it. And bending, that always is just a sign of respect, and the hands together, which is also the Indians, they do that because we have that something in common in that. And where even when you are wrong, we don't contradict you, we don't say you are wrong. And but we will find a diplomatic way, a respectable way, without saying we are correcting you, but just to say, this is how I would prefer to do it, or this is how I've been taught. I'm not saying you are wrong. So we have a way, and I like that. And then even with the serving, yes, there's a difference. Yes, we have to kneel when you serve, and we are still very much people of the polygamy. And yeah, and I know that there's a lot of people that do not understand. So as you were saying, that now it is the time that we cannot take a timid stand. We need to be teaching, and that's exactly why you see all these Zooms, all these platforms, that it's not just to self-promote, but it is for us to really teach about our culture, that it's not primitive. There is something of value to be taken forward. Yes, there are some things that need to be corrected, if I may put that word, I don't know, to be developed, to be improved, so that at least to meet up the demands of the now time, that we can say that one maybe do away with it, but actually, as you are saying, we are the custodians. And why should we keep quiet? Because then we will be given identity, and the narrative will be written about us, for us. So now we are there as custodians, as gatekeepers, and we are to protect who we are, and we are to have confidence. And the best way is, we have seen it even through you expressing yourself in every manner. I love your crowns. I love your crowns.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just started wearing them this particular year. My mother, she passed away, so her date of birth is, because the thing is that you're the crown. You know, you wear the crown by your deeds and actions in life. However, one thing I want is to restore the ancient orders, restoring ancient. We don't have to be reigning monarchies and that we're governments. We have our culture, and that culture is enough. However, before we go, it is crucial to have the economic impact.
Yes.
Not just have a title. We have to have the economic impact that was taken during the colonizations, and we're gonna get it together. We're gonna be able to do it. The only way to do it, though, is also to have the strong team.
Exactly. And unified, and that's why I thank both of you so much for demonstrating that this is in fact what we're doing. We're not asking, we're not waiting, we're actually doing it. So I do want to make this commitment on a regular basis for us to not just meet and not just plan, but also for the remainder of this International Decade for People of African Descent. It has no teeth. It's just there for show, but we can actually make it our platform for the next 1,000 years if we do it right. So that's what I want to commit myself to do, to assist both of you to accomplish.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to before the end of the year, because one thing about me is I've been talking to His Highness a lot. He's introduced me to you, Your Royal Highness. And we will let's have a goal list of some short-term goals that we can achieve between January and March. Get that done. Do a letter of intent, and we can do a nice announcement, and then we move from there. So today was beautiful. Thank you for teaching me also. You're a lady of wisdom, so I was really excited to learn. I was just intrigued by all that you were teaching and saying, and you're spiritual. You're definitely a wise lady. So thank you for that as well.
Well,
thank you. And,
well,
and yeah, now they say we never knew that an African can blush, but now I'm out of words. So I have learned so much. You have no idea how honored I feel that for you to make time. Like I said, that we always look and we are thinking, So for you to make time, and I like it. We are very practical. We have just appointed him that day. We are working on the project. The proposals are in. So now we will be working on the MOU with him as well. And we are always available. We have Prince Tumelo, who's on my team as well, so that the work, it does not fall through the fingers. And the team is now growing of experts that are going to be around me to make sure that all these are not delayed because I'm handling them alone. And I do realize the season is now the season.
We could start with you, Your Royal Highness. On the first smartphone film, I could actually do something,
Yes.
and that could be the first piece about you being an elder, your culture, and you talking about a princess and what it was like for you as a child. I mean, the good news about how I do things is I do what I can do now. I hear what you're saying,
Yes.
but that's like 2022. But on the short-term goal, you're an indigenous princess. That's very important. You're not a tribal
Yes.
princess, but you're an indigenous princess from an indigenous heritage that many don't know. And your tribe and heritage, and you being a global woman, okay, however, this is where you come from, I would like more to know. So that's my goal.
Yes.
That's the
How soon?
first start.
Yes.
How soon?
Okay.
How
So
soon?
I'm gonna let you all know my we
Yes.
like each other, as you
So
can see.
I'm up for it. So from here, you can draw out what needs to be done, all our goals, all our weekly, and then we put the wheels on it.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Happy in the Western culture. Okay. And thank you, Your Highness, okay?
Thank both of you so very much.
Thank
I
you
really
so,
appreciate your
so
time.
much.
I love you both so much. I'm gonna end this up with a thanks to everyone. I am gonna play a brief 10-minute video. I understand you both will have to leave, but I do want to share for the Edfu Foundation. They provided us this platform, so I do want to make sure that we give them their due and their rights. So I love you both. Thank you so very much. I'm gonna end for our community just with a shot there of what we'll be sharing this on. I'll share this video with both of you, but we do want to rebroadcast this on the Revelation Network, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr. And I would love to be able to have an interview with each of you and others as we go forward as part of our series. So with that, thanks everyone here. And now I'm going to share this video. And ladies, if you can stay, please do. If not, I've already sent you the link, so it's actually in your inbox. So thank you so very much again.
Did we have the picture on that? Did we have the picture
Which picture? Your picture?
of all of us? I've just taken one.
Oh, well, great.
Spelling where we can plan it.
Of course. So can you pick another one since now that we're ready for it?
Let me take these out so that there's no blue. I bet you I'm gonna try and find the screen.
You're gonna grope for it.
Thank you.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I love you both so much. Thank you for your time. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna start this video now. That's a wrap for us. Share sound and find the video. Oops, not the right one. I have too many screens open. Let me try it one more time here. Oh no, I'll move it over here. Okay, yes. All right. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Yes.
Edfu Foundation, Inc. is a United Nations recognized Afro-Indigenous organization working globally in the USA, Brazil, Bermuda, New Zealand, Australia, Nubia, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Liberia, and England. So we'd like to show you that with a map. We trace our lineage back to Nubia and ancient Egypt, as well as the Olmecs of South America. We would like to show you that in graphics as well. While many of us were forcibly brought to the Americas, some of us were already here living side by side with Native Americans. In fact, our ancestors tell us that we had worldwide trade routes that connected the human family for well over 10,000 years. Until the separation of the human family due to colonization, religious intolerance, and sexism, since the doctrine of discovery and the transatlantic slave trade, when indigenous Africans were kidnapped and forcibly migrated to the Americas as well as Europe, which also led to the enslavement of indigenous Americans and theft of numerous indigenous lands worldwide. This worldwide pandemic of violence, colonialism, and imperialism has morphed over time into structural violence and systematic inequality, which has put humanity in a state of shock, manifesting into intergenerational trauma. Intergenerational trauma, as documented by Dr. Joy Leary, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Farah D. Lubin, the American Psychological Association, among many others, is the transmission of historical oppression and its negative consequences across generations. Centuries of genocide, forced migration, enslavement, followed by systemic and structural violence, racism and oppression, including lynching, Jim Crow laws, and unwarranted mass incarceration, have resulted in intergenerational maladaptive behaviors, which originated as survival strategies. The syndrome continues because children whose parents suffer from intergenerational trauma are often indoctrined into the same behaviors, long after the behaviors have lost their contextual effectiveness. This structural violence is a major public health crisis that we at Edfu Foundation are dedicated to combating. The healing of all communities from the intergenerational trauma that they suffer from is paramount for the future progress of the planet. Structural violence refers to systemic ways in which social structures harm or otherwise disadvantage individuals. Institutionalized adultism, ageism, classism, elitism, ethnocentrism, nationalism, speciesism, racism, and sexism are some examples of structural violence. Structural violence is a high cause of premature death and unnecessary disability because structural violence affects people differently in various social structures. It is linked to social injustice. Structural violence and direct violence are highly interdependent, including family violence, gender violence, hate crimes, racial violence, police violence, state violence, terrorism, and war. Therefore, we view violence as a public health issue and structural violence as a worldwide health crisis for not just indigenous peoples, but all people. We are dedicated to addressing this violence and healing the subsequent intergenerational trauma that plagues our community, the human family, and affects the entire planet. Edfu Foundation utilizes science and the teachings of our ancestors for the betterment of humanity. Science confirms all humans come from Africa, and all humans have melanin in varying degrees, meaning all humans are different shades of brown. We at Edfu Foundation firmly stand on the tenet that there is only one human race. Therefore, Edfu Foundation firmly supports the UN Agenda 2030, especially the theme of No One Left Behind. Edfu Foundation Inc. utilizes science and the teachings of our ancestors to improve humanity. We work to reunite our indigenous family throughout the planet and uplift all humanity. We work hand in hand with our sister organization, the Conservancy Corp, investing in the future of humanity through our programs and advocacy. Our aim is to move our civilization from its current state to that of a Type 1 civilization on the Kardashev civilization scale and beyond in a spiritual, holistic way. Therefore, we seek to eliminate systemic inequalities and structural violence, as well as to provide for the public health and improvement of the human condition by addressing these problems. Specifically, but not exclusively, by the preservation, restoration, and technological advancement of our Afro-Indigenous culture. We aim to encourage, increase, and further community interest in civic, social, and political affairs by designing and implementing systems which work for our Afro-Indigenous community, as well as serve humanity. Edfu Foundation brings together organizations, funding, and develops programs which promote a spirit of harmony and prosperity within the Indigenous community. Through our efforts of connecting the diaspora and creating safe spaces in which Indigenous people are able to positively express themselves and their culture, we instill self-esteem, self-love, and self-worth in people. We advocate internationally through our ECOSOC status in the United Nations and domestically through public and private partnerships with state, city, and local community organizations. We provide training, mentorship, and counseling, which enhance both personal, mental, and moral development to counteract the intergenerational trauma our community has endured. We are dedicated to helping people heal and move forward in a cohesive fashion so that humanity as a whole can move forward. Critical components of community and youth development are that all people will seek ways to meet their basic needs and gain the competencies and skills necessary to move forward in society. Training. All Edfu Foundation programs and initiatives seek to address these two most critical components of development, meeting needs and helping people gain skills and competencies. All people have basic needs critical to survival and healthy development. Our programs purposely address these needs in their program design. If families cannot and communities will not provide positive ways for people to meet their needs, people will strive to meet them on their own, and not always in positive ways. As you look at the development needs listed below, think about how gangs answer each of these needs for their members. To become successful adults, young people need a sense of safety and structure, belonging and membership, self-worth, status, and an ability to contribute, independence, autonomy, and control over their lives, closeness and several good relationships, and competence and mastery. It is not the style of clothes one wears, neither the kind of automobile one drives, nor the amount of money one has in the bank that counts. These mean nothing. It is simply service that measures success. George Washington Carver. Edfu Programs and Initiatives. iCenter provides programs and services that are geared towards STEM education, after-school programs, job skills training, certifications, family counseling, legal services, and helping residents of all ages. Success is cultivated through a combination of mindset, confidence, as well as practical skills. We prepare students by providing the technical training, specialized skill sets, certification, as well as the self-awareness they will need to succeed in a future filled with uncertainty. The Bay Area Street Pantry, in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger. We have created the Bay Area Street Pantry to provide food for the financially distressed, homeless, and displaced in the Bay Area and Alameda County in California. We have partnered with the Oakland Public Library, Melrose Branch, and the Alameda County Food Bank. To date, we've helped over 5,000 Bay Area residents and given out over 90,000 pounds of food. Afronauts. Afronauts is a collective dedicated to bringing exposure to and understanding of Indigenous futurism and culture in all its forms. We highlight creative people who are working toward a better future in which we as Indigenous people play a part and make a difference. For more info, find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also tune into our Blog Talk radio show to hear the most thought-provoking conversations about comics, sci-fi, metaphysics, Indigenous culture, and activism, all in one place. Edfu Center for Human Spirituality. Our Edfu Indigenous ambassadors travel around the world to teach and promote healing and harmony, and have been invited to many places to pray and do ceremonies. We give thanks that through this work, we have been given a voice to help all peoples on Earth understand that connection to Earth and Spirit is innate in all of us. We are working to eventually build several centers around the world where we have members and currently support programs. Imagine a place where you can take off the stress of your day, where you can just exist as a human, where you can attune yourself to the universe, where you can walk in a specially designed enclosed garden, become one with yourself, where you can learn about crystals and their properties, where you can meditate at your own pace, where you can find your center. Edfu Foundation is represented by two separate entities in the United States, Edfu Foundation Inc. and the Conservancy Corp. While both organizations work on the same missions, they do so through different strategies. The Conservancy Corp acts as a grant-making organization to provide funding for Edfu Foundation Inc.'s research, charitable and public education activities and entities worldwide. The Conservancy Corp is an IRS-registered 501c3 entity. Edfu Foundation Inc. is an advocacy and lobbying organization and is registered as a 501c4 entity. Contributions to Edfu Foundation Inc. are not tax-deductible. However, if you would like to make a tax-deductible donation, please go to www.theconservancycorp.org/donate.html to view our gift acceptance policy and to donate.
I said, if I unmute myself, you can probably hear me better. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you so much, darling Tshepi. I love saying that.
Yes.
And I love that smile of yours.
You have said it so well. You have said it so well this time. So thank you very much to Edfu as well for affording us this platform. Thank you very much for affording us the time that day. And let us take this further. I will hear from you as to what is the way forward, and then let us make it happen.
Excellent. Thank you so much, darling. I'm going to wind up now. Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, have a fantastic day as well. Well, evening to me. Thank you. Great. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Of course, technology is only great when it works.
But hold on, I have only the last picture. So I couldn't, because I've been doing the print screen. It doesn't keep them.
So what would you like us to do?
Hey, because I did, so it keeps only the last print screen.
The last print screen? Wait, hold on. Let me finish this first. But darling, technology is only great when it works.
No, I will exit when so as to help you, but I think we didn't have the picture that we wanted. It didn't keep the
Which picture did you want?
But it's fine. We will have a recording. Recording, is it only voice or does it show the picture?
Okay, wait. I can always edit this later, so I'm going to go ahead and try to replay this now. Well, there we have it. Thank you for joining us for another Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.